Okay, this is the video answer key for lesson 10-2 worksheet number 1. All right, so we're going to start with this guy by breaking him down. So I'm going to break down 50 to 5 and 10, and then 10 can go to 2 and 5. Okay, so now if I look here, I have a pair of 5s that move out. So I have a 5 on the outside, and then on the inside, this poor little 2's left over. He doesn't have a buddy, so I have a 2 left on the inside. Again, don't try to use numbers you've already broken down. And that's your answer. Okay, number 2. All right, we're going to go ahead and break down 198. So I'm going to take it and divide it by 2 and get 49. 49 breaks to 7 times 7. So the 7's pair up and move out. So I have a pair of 7's on the outside. And then I have this poor little 2 left over on the inside. So 7 root 2 is my answer. Again, don't try to use numbers you've already broken down. Okay, number 3. All right, 72. Now there's a lot of ways you can go with this. I'm going to use 8 times 9. And then the 8 will go to 2 times 4. And the 4 will go to 2 times 2. The 9 will be 3 times 3. So now if I look at this guy, these guys here, okay, again, don't use the ones you broke down. Just look at your endings. Okay, so when I look at my endings, I have a pair of 2's, I have a pair of 3's, so 2 times 3 is 6 on the outside, and then I have this poor little 2 left over on the inside, so root 2 is left over on the inside, and that's your solution. Okay, number 4. All right, 384. So I'm going to go ahead and start by dividing by 2, and I got 192. So now I'm going to take 192, since it's even, and divide by 2 and get 96. I'm going to go ahead and divide by 2 again here, and this time I'm going to get 48. Now you can keep going by 2's, or you could do like 6 times 8, doesn't really matter, 4 times 12, they'll all get you the same answer. So 6 will be 2 times 3, this will be 2 times 4, and then that'll break down into 2's, okay? So again, don't use any numbers that you've just broke down. Okay, so make sure you kind of throw those guys out or don't pay attention to them. All right, so now I'm looking here. I got a pair of 2's. I got another pair of 2's. And I got a pair of 2's here. So 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 is 8. Now on the inside, I've got a 3 and a 2 left over on the inside. Okay, so 3 times 2 is 6. So 8 root 6 is my answer here. All right, 64. Well, on this one, the square root of 64 is just 8, so I already know that. So I'm going to go ahead and put an 8 on the outside. Okay, now if you didn't know that, that's okay. You can go ahead and break it down and go 8 times 8. And right there, technically, you have a pair that would move out. Or you could keep going down to 2 times 4, 2 times 2. Same thing here, 2 times 4, and then 2 times 2. And if you look here, you got 1, 2, 3 2's, 3 sets. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Now let's take a look at our variables here. So I've got 3 x's. Again, I'm just looking for a pair. So I had one pair move out, and I have this poor little guy left over on the inside. So my answer is going to be 8x radical x. And that's going to be my final answer. All right, so number 6 here. So 196, if I divide it by, like, let's say 2, I'm going to get 2 and 98. Divide by 2 again, and I'm going to get 2 and 49. And then 49 would break to 7 and 7. So if I look at this guy, I got a pair of 2's and a pair of 7's on the end. There's nothing that's going to be left over on the inside. So I have a 14 on the outside. And then now let's look at your k's. I've got 4 k's. I've got 2 pairs. So it would be k squared. And I have no k's left over on the inside, so there's no radical left. So my answer is just going to be 14k squared here. Okay. All right, number 7. All right, 320. Let's see here. I know 10 will go in, so I'm going to do 10 and 32. 10 will go to 2 times 5. This will go to 2 times 16, which will go to 4 times 4, which will break up to 2 times 2. All right, so again, don't use any of the numbers you just broke down. Kind of throw those guys out. All right, and let's see here. What do we have? We have a pair of 2's, and another pair of 2's. All right, so 2 times 2 times 2 is 8 on the outside. Now I have this poor little 5 left over on the inside, so I'm going to put a 5 on the inside. Now let's take a look at our variables. We've got 3 u's, so I pair up one pair and move it out, and then this poor little inside guy that doesn't have a buddy, he has to stay in there. Now v to the 4th. I've got 2 pairs that moved out, so I've got v squared on the outside, and then there's no v's left over, so there's nothing on the inside. And that's my answer. Okay, number 8. All right, I'm going to break down 320. I'm going to do 32 and 10. All right, and then I've got 4 times 8, so that'll break down to 2 times 2. I got 2 times 4, which will break down to 2 times 2, and then 2 times 5. Again, don't use any of the numbers you've broken down. Just look at your endings. All right, so let's see here. I got a pair of 2's, another pair of 2's. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Now I have this poor little 5 left over on the inside. So I've got root 5. All right, now looking at your x's, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So when I pair them up, I have 2 pairs that moved out. Now my y, I only have one y. He doesn't have a buddy, so he's stuck on the inside. So 8x squared, radical 5y is your answer. All right, going over to the back side here. All right, just a little review of graphing. So we're going to start by, I'm going to go ahead and make this guy right here like my red one, okay? And then I'll make this one the blue one. All right, so on my red guy, I'm going to start at 3. I have a slope of 4/3, which means you go up 4, right, over 3, but that's off the grid. So let's go down the other way. So start at 3, then go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So I got a point right there. Now it should be dotted line because there's no equal sign on it. So dotted line, and then pay attention to this sign right here. So that says greater. So greater means I'm going to shade on the upside. So everything up here. Okay. All right, I'm going to go to the next guy. This one says start at -2. A -1/3 slope says down 1, right 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and up and to the left 3. Now this should be a solid line because it's got an equal sign on it. And it says y is greater than. So greater, again, everything on the top side here gets shaded. All right, and so when we do that, we find that our solution, right, is where they overlap. So our solutions would be right here. Okay. All right, solve by elimination. So in this one, I'm going to multiply the top guy here by 10 to get my y's to cancel. So I'm going to have -70x minus 10y equals 240. And then I still have the 9x, positive 10y, and the 4. All right, so those cancel. I've got a -61x here. And on this side, I've got 244 when I put those together. So now I'm going to take 244. I'm going to divide that by the -61. And I ended up with x equals -4. Okay, now you can take this, plug it into either one. So I'll just plug it in right there. So I've got 9 times -4 plus 10y equals 4. So this would be -36 plus 10y equals 40. Add the 36 over to the other side, and that'll give you 40. And then when you divide, you end up with y equals 4. So your answer should be -4, 4. Okay, all right, on this one, side by side, we add the exponents. Now I still got to take 3 times 4 and get 12. Remember, there's a 1 here, so 1 plus 4 is 5. And same thing with the b's, because 1 plus 4 would be 5. So side by side, we add. All right, now this guy, we're dropping that 2 in. Okay, so since we're dropping that 2 in, just make sure we're dropping it to all the parts. So 2 squared would be 4. There's technically 1 there, so 1 times 2 is 2. And then 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, on this guy, okay, anything 0 powers 1, so we can go ahead and get rid of that. Now the 3 halves, nothing's going to happen with the 3 halves. All right, if I look at my x to the -2, remember we've got to drop that guy down and get x squared on the bottom. So negative exponent's got to change sides. Now looking at your y's here, you've got 3 on top and 1 on the bottom. Different levels, you subtract. So I'll have 2 left over, and since I have more y's on top, I'm going to have 2 y's left on top. All right. Okay, on this one, it is a subtraction problem, right? That's what it means here in the middle. It is subtraction. So let's go ahead and distribute that negative. So I end up with, oh, wrong one here. Negative 7x to the 4th, a positive 4x to the 3rd, and a positive 6x squared. Now all that's gone, right? We don't worry about him. So now start combining like terms. So I've got 8 minus 7. So I've got a 1x to the 4th or x to the 4th. I've got 2x squared and 6x squared. So that's going to give me plus 8x squared. Okay, and then on the next one, I've got a negative 4x to the 3rd plus 4x to the 3rd. So that actually just cancels out. So this right here would be your final answer. All right, and that concludes this answer key.